I'd like to call to order the Town Council regular session at 7:35. The date is Monday, May 23rd. And if you could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Thank you. Roll call, Dale, please.
Council President Whaley.
Here.
Council Vice President McAtee.
Here.
Councilwoman Eddy. Here. Councilwoman Fogarty.
Here.
Councilman O'Neill.
Here.
All members present.
Before we even start, I would like just to make a statement that the work session, we have all items listed on the Town Council agenda have been subject to discussion. So at this point, we have approval of the minutes of the previous meetings. We have the work session of May 9th, 2011.
I move approval of those minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Abstention? Motion carries 500. We also have the regular session of May 9th, 2011.
I move approval of the regular session, May 9th, 2011 minutes. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Abstention? Okay, we have 500. Motion carries, which brings us to the consent agenda. Would anybody care to have anything removed from the consent agenda?
I move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 500. Which brings us to licenses. We have a resolution granting a tourist accommodations license to Ian Danis and Catherine Gagnon, doing business as Lily's at the Little Rest, 2545 Kingston Road, Kingston, for 3 spaces, 6 persons, no accessory uses, in accordance with a special use permit granted March 16th, 2011 by the Zoning Board of Review and subject to approval by the Fire Chief and Communications Superintendent. Application by Catherine Gagnon and Ian Davis, 2545 Kingston Road, Kingston, Rhode Island. And this is a new license. Do we have someone here? Welcome.
Thank you.
And if you could just state your name.
I'm Catherine Gagnon.
Welcome, Catherine. And if you could just tell us a little bit about what your plans are.
Our hope is to, by August of 2011, if all goes smoothly, to open a 3-room B&B at the historic Elijah Reynolds house, which we purchased in January. We've been undergoing interior renovations since that time, have presented a plan to the planning committee, to zoning, and we've been also working with Historic District Commission in order to get the appropriate approvals for exterior work that needs to begin on the outside of the building, and that is commencing later this month.
Sounds exciting. Do we have questions here at the table for Catherine? Polly?
What did you say when you were opening?
Our hope is August of this summer. Yeah.
I bet there were many people who wished you were open this weekend.
I think so. It was pretty busy around town.
For URI, it's a great spot.
Thanks.
Further questions here at the table? Jim?
Why do we put in here 3 spaces? Why can't that be suites, apartments, rooms? Why spaces? After looking at our little beach cabanas here we're putting together, but why is the word, why spaces?
Ah. Good.
I mean, we're just looking at these cabanas we're going to offer at auction here shortly, a little 2x2. That's a space. Okay, thank you. All right, anyway, just language here at the town hall. Anyway, had some great newspaper press a
Thank
week
you.
ago.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
We're very
in
excited.
anticipation of.
Thank you.
Further questions here at the table? Go ahead, Carol.
It's three, so what you're going to have is 3 rooms.
3 rooms.
That can have 2 people in each room. And are they
Correct.
going to have private baths?
They have dedicated baths in order to not have to do extensive interior remodeling to actually break walls into bedrooms. What we have instead, we have 2 adjoining rooms on the second floor that have a dedicated bathroom right outside. And then down on the first floor, we remodeled the half bath to be a full bath. And then there's a guest room immediately behind it, so it is dedicated to that room. They do have to come into the public hallway in order to get to it, but with robes, we're going to make
And
it work.
So it's private. So
Correct.
Good. Nice, thank you.
Yeah.
We still have a language issue here. Dedicated, why can't it be
I
shared
understand
bath?
that, though. I
don't
do understand
this
that. It's
language.
not a shared bath. It's a private bath that's not in the room.
upstairs one is shared.
Who wrote it?
Anyway, that's all right. That's,
I'd like to make a motion to approve license item A.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 500. And we
Thanks.
wish you the best of luck.
Thanks a lot.
Good luck.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to open the public hearing. We have a public hearing for the purpose of obtaining citizen views on proposed activities and to review the draft application for the 2011 Program Year Small Cities Community Development Block Grant Program. The local priority list is shown on Exhibit 1 attached here too. The town is eligible to apply for $4,000 in funds for the purpose of undertaking activities that meet one or more of the following 3 named national objectives. First one is urgent needs. The second is prevention, elimination of slums or blight. The third is activities benefiting low, moderate income persons. And I'm going to turn it over to Ray Nickerson. Thank you.
Good evening. This is the second of 2 public hearings. The first one was April 11th, where the council solicited comments from the public regarding the overall program. As Ella said, the purpose here is to review the priority list. In March, staff sent packages to, I think, 18 social service agencies, giving them the opportunity to send applications for consideration in our overall submission to the state. And we received responses from 13 for a total of 19 activities. We're allowed to apply for $400,000. This year is the exception, which I'll get to when we discuss activity number 5. And the applications are due to the state on the 14th of June. And the activities, there's also a requirement that all of the proposed activities be reviewed by the planning board to ensure that they are compliant with the comprehensive community plan, and the planning board reviewed those activities on May 10th and certified to that effect. So if it pleases the council, I'd like to briefly go through the 19 if I could, and then maybe if we have questions at the end. All of these activities address the same one of those 3 national objectives, and that is benefits to low, moderate income individuals or families. The first activity is the Johnny Cake Center of Peacedale Meals Program for $20,000. That helps run the food pantry as well as providing funds for the summer meals programs for those children who receive federal subsidy during the school year, and no such program exists during the 10-month recess, and this picks that up. Second is the Town of South Kingston's Housing Rehabilitation Program for $100,000. That's a grant program that provides 50 or 100% grants for low, moderate income property owners to bring their dwellings into compliance with the state code. The cap on the 100% grant is $10,000, 50% grant is $5,000, although our guidelines allow some wiggle room for, to address projects on a case-by-case basis. Activities 3 and 4 are from Welcome House. The first one is $25,000 for operating expenses, and that's for the, could be anything from defraying personnel costs to paying utility bills, whatever their particular needs are. They also have a $25,000 request to rehabilitate 15 existing affordable apartment units that they operate at, I believe, 5 locations within the town. The fifth item is a $100,000 request from the Washington County Community Development Corp., and that's to purchase a 4-bedroom, single-family dwelling on Sunset View Boulevard. That building was, and the property rather, was originally funded by Rhode Island Housing. The owners defaulted on the loan. The Rhode Island Housing now has it in their REO, or real estate-owned stock, under foreclosure. The federal housing laws, as well as the Rhode Island CDBG policies, allow that if you have a unit that is ready to go, which this is, if they purchase it, you could move a family in immediately, that activity is not included in a town's threshold. It's an over-the-cap request, and that's why we'll be asking you to approve a motion to apply for $500,000 in funds. So that's a bonus for this year. The town's $400,000 activities will be judged separately, and it begs the obvious question: if we get $100,000 for this one activity, do we therefore maybe suffer on the other end? My discussions with the Department of Administration is that no, that they would be segregated, and the other activities will be reviewed on their own merit. Item 6 is a $12,000 request for residing the exterior of the Thunder Mist Health Center, which is the major regional dental facility for South County. Habitat Humanity has a request in the 7th, which is for $50,000, and that's to assist in site improvements and related infrastructure for the 4-dwelling land development project on Old North Road that was recently approved by the Planning Board. The Domestic Violence Resource Center has a request in for $25,000 to undertake the second phase of their feasibility study. Right now, the safe home that they have is basically a community living arrangement. What they want to do is give the mothers and the children a little more privacy, so they're basically going to reconfigure the floor plans and the related utilities that they need, and develop, instead of a communal system where they share 2 bathrooms, there will be 4 separate apartments and then 2 beds for emergency conditions. The 9th request is $5,000 from Washington County CDC, and that's to hire a consultant to undertake a survey of looking at the feasibility of establishing more affordable units on the 2nd floor of those buildings that are primarily first-floor commercial structures on Main Street. And that's something council remembers we talked about at the last EDC work session. Narragansett Affordable Housing is the 10th activity. That's $3,000 to undertake housing information program. That's a requirement that the state and the feds have for all of these 33 communities that are eligible for small cities, that they have some fair housing activity. And annually, we hire these folks, and they do an outreach educational program, normally to school-age children, where they discuss fair housing issues. The 11th item is from Washington County CDC. That's $4,000 for operating expenses. Washington County CDC, among other things, helps communities in trying to achieve their affordable housing goals and achieve the ultimate 10% goal that the state has set. The 12th item is from the Sensational Child's $10,000. That's a job training program, and this is the 3rd or 4th year that this project hopefully will be funded. It's been funded the past 3, and 2 of the clients are mentally challenged residents from South Kingston. 13th item is from South County Community Action. That's $7,500 to defray the personnel costs for Washington County Coalition for Children. That's a group that gets together that's made up of folks from the medical profession, teachers and such, and they meet on a monthly basis to assist the youth of the area and identify problems and how they can address those. The Education Exchange is the 14th activity here for $25,000, and that's funds to support personnel and to buy equipment for their work readiness training program. The 15th item is from South County Hospital Healthcare System. That's $20,000. That's funds to support various activities in their overall wellness program. The next item is from the Galilee Mission, which is $2,000 for kitchen rehabilitation to put in a new floor in the kitchen at the facility in Narragansett. This is the first time we received an application from these folks in some years, but in the mid-1990s, they were an annual recipient of these funds. The 17th and 18th items are from RICAN. That's the Rhode Island Center Assisting Those in Need. And they relate to a building that they want to buy at the intersection of Route 91 and Route 112 in Charleston. They have a pantry now on Post Road in Charleston. This building would serve as their new food pantry. It also has 3 apartments that would be rehabilitated for low, moderate income individuals. So the 17th item is for purchasing the building, and that's for $45,500. The next item is the building rehabilitation of the apartments for $8,000. And the last item is from Community Housing Land Trust. That's a statewide organization that assists towns, again, in achieving affordable housing strategies, and that's for $3,000. We've also requested $10,000 in program administration for staff to administer the grant, and that brings you to a total of the $500,000. Are there any particular
Thank you, Ray.
questions?
Questions here at the table?
Ella.
Steve had-
Steve?
Just a couple of comments. On Johnny Cake, there was also a second activity. The second activity was for $5,000 for the Employment Skills Program. It's $15,000 that would go to the food pantry program plus that $5,000. So there's 2 program components on that. I also wanted to mention that on the proposals that we've suggested reduced funding from what had been requested. Some rationale on that. We have not seen CDBG funds going into health-related programming. South County Hospital, we had applied for that last year, did not receive funding. That's why that was reduced in scale. Also, Education Exchange. We've got a $30,000 item in the current year CDBG for them, and we haven't had a drawdown yet. We think it's an important program. We're proposing to consider it at the $25,000 level. That program really needs to get started in terms of using current year money before we even get to the 2011 program year.
So Steve, will the town be in touch with them in reference to what you just stated? The $30,000 in the current, that hasn't been drawn down yet?
Yeah, the town periodically, staff sends to
Update.
these agencies that are a bit recalcitrant for the purpose that we want to show the state that we utilize the funds, so we don't want to put our this application in jeopardy, and we try to stress the importance to the various agencies of utilizing the monies. The vast majority of them do within a very short period of time of the grant award. But yes, they're made aware of the need to spend it.
So what is
Each one of the grantees that are here, we have to sign sub-grant applications for them. So they are aware of what the funding cycle is. They have to agree to the terms and conditions that are necessary for us to have. Really what we're doing is managing almost, in this case, it would be 19 different program activities, each of them with a sub-grant application that's got to be filed and administered through the town.
And they're also required to file a semi-annual report with the town, who is required subsequently to file a report with the state. These grants normally take 2 or 3 years to draw down completely. So there's at least 2 other opportunities during the year where they're made aware of their program and the need for progress when they submit the semi-annual report. Obviously, it asks for how many beneficiaries did you have and how much money have you expended to date and what is the remaining balance of those funds.
Polly?
Has the Education Exchange not used any of that $30,000 that they got last year?
They have not drawn down any of those funds. If they've spent monies that they could be reimbursed for, I can't speak to that. That may be the case, but I would hope that they would request the funding as soon as possible if they have indeed expended it.
Jim?
Yeah, I probably just intercepted my question. Do you know if the Education Exchange, if there was a specific requirement on how it was spent?
No, they tend to be rather general than the contracts that we get from the state, although these are rather specific activities. The Department of Administration takes a more of a broad brush approach, so there's an awful lot of leeway.
Okay, and
So I don't think that's an impediment. I shouldn't speak for them, but I wouldn't say that it would be, because it's the overall work readiness program. They could spend it to defray the cost of personnel. They could pay the electric bill. They could buy computers and desks, whatever.
And
Jim?
does Rhode Island Housing have a list of townwide properties in South Kingstown, like Sunset Boulevard, but we're putting in the 100,000 requests for? Is there a list?
I've never queried it, but I'm guessing that there are, that they would have that information, that you could tap into a data bank that has that has their entire REO stock.
I think it was Carol and then Kathy.
Ray, we're eligible to apply for a maximum of 400,000, and so if we don't get that full amount, this priority list, would you start from the bottom and go up? Is that how you would do as to what would and wouldn't get?
No,
funds?
what we do, Carol, is we send the list to the state, and this is the town's priority list. When the application goes to the state committee, they will pick particular activities. They'll even set their own priorities. I don't know if I'm answering your question. So we don't get a sum of money. When we get the contract, when we get the announcement from the governor's office, it's very specific. 17,000 for Welcome House, X dollars for Habitat,
I see.
Johnny Cake, and that's dictated to the town from the state.
Now, as far as, where is it, number 17 and 18. Now, both of those projects are located in Charleston, did
Correct.
you say?
Right.
And is there a reason why we wouldn't try and locate, buy something like that, assist a program in South Kingstown versus Charleston, or?
Well, we do. As far as the first priority we have is the Johnny Cake Food Pantry program, which is what the RICAN folks are doing regionally at their facility in Charleston, and the one that they would buy. So we've put the full amount in that Johnny Cake had asked for. We've put that in our application.
Now, South Kingstown residents would be able to be assisted by this Charlestown facility,
Absolutely.
is that correct?
Anybody can use the existing food pantry they have in Charleston. Similarly, Johnny Cake Center doesn't restrict their food pantry to only South Kingston residents.
Thanks.
Kathy?
I was going to ask about 17 and 18 now, so I assume that Charleston's also putting in their CDBG grant.
Correct. The overall price of the purchase of the facility, I believe, is $450,000. So they had asked each community, the 9 Washington County communities, they asked for 50 apiece. We couldn't fit it into our budget, but if every town, comes up to say 80%, the lion's share. There are also other funding sources available. I know they've gotten fairly substantial grant from Walmart within the past year that's going to go towards this acquisition and rehab of those apartments.
I assumed that was going to happen. And what do you think with the federal, I know you don't have a crystal ball on this, but obviously with all the cuts that they've been talking in the federal government, what do you think? I mean, we've seen it, it's fluctuated from year to year, the years that I've been on the council.
It's fluctuated a little. I think Steve mentioned at the first meeting that, there have been folks in the Senate and the House for years that have, this program has a target on its back, but they always seem to get enough votes to keep it going. Even if it's, the same level as last year, which is what they're telling me at the Department of Administration, even though it's projected to be a 1 to 3% increase, that's not likely to happen. But there's no reason to believe that it won't be funded.
Thank you, Ray.
Ray, I just have one question. What is the deadline for that education exchange to tap into that money?
To spend the monies?
Right. What is the deadline?
The grants that we saw, the contracts that Steve referred to that we signed were in September, so that the contract expires in September, but the reality is that we ask for 1 year or 6-month extensions from the state, and we're granted, and we pass that along to the agencies. There's only been one case, I think, in all the years I've been here where an agency lost some money, where we transferred funds, and we gave them a couple of years. These are obviously folks doing really good work and wonderful services, and in many cases to those less fortunate. So we try to be as patient as we can with them.
And I know conversations that I've had with them, they did say that they're getting this program up and, ready to up.
Yeah, that's the other thing. You bring up a good point. That sometimes there are programs that are using these funds to initiate a new program, and that does take a little longer than some that have been in existence for a few years.
So can I just clarify? So is it September? If they have not secured these funds by September, they may lose them? What is the?
Not likely. It's just we'll extend the contract with them for another 6 months, and then speak to them about the urgency and showing some progress in expending the funds.
Thank you. Further questions here at the table? Well, I think there's been some great work done here. All of these projects are absolutely well needed for funding. All right, so I'm going to open it at this time to comments from the public. That's what a public work session is, so if anyone has any comments, please come to the microphone. Okay, and no comments here, so at this time I'm going to ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 500. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to authorize the filing of the 2011 Small Cities and Community Block Grant Program application for the amount not to exceed $500,000. Actually, that's changed with us. In accordance with the local priority list as shown in Exhibit 1 attached here too.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 500. Which brings us to our second public hearing. This is a public hearing for the purpose of considering proposed amendments to the zoning ordinance as follows. This is Article 8 signs, Section 803, signs prohibited in all zoning districts as follows. The following signs shall not be permitted in any zoning district. It's B, flashing signs. Signs will incorporate in any manner any flashing or moving illumination, animation, or illumination which varies in color. This shall include, but not limited to, electronic messaging boards, centers, animated or intermittent, LED light emitting diode, type signs, digital programmable, ink, and other electronic changeable copy signs. The amendment for Section 803B shall expire at midnight and we're looking to change it from May 24th to July 25th. And I believe Vin Murray is going to speak on this. Thank you.
Good
Vin.
evening, Madam President, members of the council. In the nutshell, we're asking the council to consider at tonight's public hearing extending the sunset provisions of the ordinance from the current date, which would expire tomorrow, to the July 25th date. That request is made to allow us to finalize in concert with the planning board some specific recommendations concerning this type of signage. We've had a work session with the planning board, and we're anticipating at their June 14th meeting to crystallize some specific language in this regard to bring this matter to closure, hopefully. And we would then be, again, before the council in the time frame of the extension as requested, asking, for a public hearing to consider specific amendments in this regard. It's a fairly complicated issue in terms of how communities deal with it, and as noted in my memo, we had some delays given other issues that have emerged over the pendency of the sunset window of opportunity. So we're just asking that it be kept open a little longer, and we'll be back before you with a specific recommendation.
Thank you, Vin. Questions here at the table? Jim?
Vin, the Economic Development Committee, are they advising both planning and the council on this? Have they, where's the input been?
Well, Ray is here as well, who helps staff the EDC, and they do have a perspective that will be brought forward for your consideration as well.
To both planning as well as?
Presumably, yes.
They've discussed it at the last couple of regular meetings, and staff is generating their final recommendations, which we'll be sending up to the planning board so that they'll have that information
Right.
for the planning board's consideration at the June 14th meeting.
Thank you, Ray.
Thanks, Ray.
Further comments here at the table? Okay. I'm going to, again, open this public hearing to comments from the public.
Seeing none, then I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries 500. And can I have a motion, please?
I move that we approve this public hearing 7B concerning amendments to Article 8, Section 803, signs prohibited in all zoning districts as detailed in the meeting agenda. Said amendments extend to the sunset date provisions of the ordinance from the current May 24th, 2011 to July 25th, 2011. This extension will provide the town staff and the boards the opportunity to conclude reviews and make formal recommendations concerning the complex issues associated with use of LED signage and instant messaging boards.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries 500. Which brings us to communications. We have a communication dated May 5th, 2011 from Lori Panza, Director of Program and Training, Girl Scouts of Rhode Island, announcing that Lindsay Bissonette, Catherine Lavosi, and Erin Morse have achieved the Gold Award, and requesting proclamations in recognition of their achievements is received, placed on file, and the Town Council further directs.
I think we should give those girls their proclamations and congratulations. A job well done.
Second, third.
And I also believe that the bridging ceremony is going to be at Saugatucket Park because the Guild will not be done. I think it's June 3rd. Have we received any communication with that, Steve, the bridging ceremony?
Not that I'm aware of.
No? So I believe it's June 3rd, and we'll probably issue those proclamations at the bridging ceremony. But, okay, so do we have a motion and a second? We
Yep.
do. Ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries 500. Next is Communication B. This is a communication dated May 6, 2011, from Michael Solomon, President of Providence City Council, seeking support for House Bill 2011, House 5785, an act relating to towns and cities, state aid that would permit municipalities to seek reimbursement from nonprofit institutions for emergency services based on a pro rata basis according to property values serviced, is received, placed on file, and the town council further directs.
We talked about this in the work session, and we decided we would place it on file.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 500. Which brings us to comments from interested citizens. So I'm going to open the mic to the public. Welcome.
Thank you.
And if you could just state your name for the record.
I'm Tom Gens from Charlestown.
Welcome, Tom. We knew you
Very
were
much.
coming.
Madam President, town councilors, town administrator, town clerk, my name is Tom Gens. I'm president of the Charlestown Town Council. I'm before you tonight to demonstrate my appreciation for your support of the resolution you passed previously concerning the state taking responsibility for dredging of the 3 ponds in Westerly and Charlestown. The side benefit to South Kingston is the sand dredged will drift based on the southeasterly or southwesterly flow to your beach at Matunic, your troubled beach. I'm here to thank you for that and also to ask you if you have any questions or any comments on that.
Questions here at the table?
You have the money in hand that this is going to be undertaken at some point?
The money in hand. That means that the state has come forth with the money?
Yes.
We're working on that, Counselor. The town of Charlestown has put forth $300,000 as matching funds for that, to try to make the state appreciate the fact we're interested in dredging the pond.
The agreement that I thought Coastal Resources had after the Army Corps had dredged the Charlestown Breachway, what happened with that, or the money just dried up? But didn't they have a commitment to at least maintain that channel?
They did, and we've pointed it out to them, and they've had it in the budget for years, but just have removed it from the budget. So we're hoping this year with all the activity, and again, thank you for your support of the resolution, that we may just get it done this year. So we're hoping that that will come to pass. And again, as a side benefit, many, many thousands of cubic yards of sand will be put on the beach and will drift toward your area. So it could have a good benefit to you.
We hope so. We need it, and quickly.
Yeah, we need a guarantee.
Yes.
No, there's no guarantees in life. I apologize. Sorry about that.
Further questions here at the table? Well, Tom, we'd like to thank you for reaching out to the South Kingstown Town Council, and we know that we will benefit from the work that you've done. So we're looking forward to working collaboratively with you, and again, thank you for keeping us informed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Further comments from interested citizens?
Jonathan Daly LaBelle. I just want to touch on 2 subjects, if I might. There's the school committee is working on a configuration plan for the school system, as I'm sure you all know, and there's been a series of meetings and such. And I guess I just want to come up, and I think that there was a town representative that went to speak at one meeting that talked about kind of demographics and growth patterns and that kind of a thing. And that was from the planning department. But there really wasn't. I haven't seen a lot of interaction between the town and the school side beyond that. And I didn't know if that. I know there's a meeting here tomorrow night about the comprehensive plan, and kind of the. How the town is laid out and how things are working in town. I didn't really hear that touched on as it related to schools. And so, I guess I just wanted to, I didn't know if I was missing something, communication between the town and the school side. And I'm not necessarily looking for an answer tonight, but just bringing it up. The second thing is, kind of a little bit of a touchy subject, but it's starting to obviously come out more strongly this year about the state pension problem. And it's, I'm sure I know South Kingstown is not alone. The reports, we're paying attention to the reports here, not only for the state, but for South Kingstown, of course. And I keep hearing these different numbers come out, and I thought a few weeks ago I had heard that South Kingstown was going to need to come up with another $1.5 million, and then I heard it was $2 million, and I don't know if this is accurate, but I kind of heard that the contribution now from South Kingstown is going to need to be like $2.8 million. And so I didn't know, I know what I've read, the treasurer seems to be approaching this with a sincere manner. What I've read, looking at it as kind of a multi-pronged solution. It's not just one element that's going to solve this thing. But I guess I haven't really heard much talked recently as far as South King. I guess my question directly to South Kingstown is, are the officials here? Are we going to take a $2.8 million bill? How are we going to handle that? And I know that's been talked about a little bit here, but that's kind of my question. I'm wondering if there's going to be a resolution. I don't think it has to get into politics really whatsoever, but just that, is that something that we truly can afford? And we need a solution that's going to, take some of that pressure off. Thank you.
Jim, did you want to respond?
Oh, I was hoping Steve might maybe answer Jonathan that late this afternoon we started, you might continue that, started to hear from the state treasurer, Gina Raimondo, proposing a few ideas, but she can only propose. The General Assembly obviously will enact. But Steve, maybe if you could address those, what happened to Jonathan's question.
I'd like to address both of the concerns expressed by Mr. LaBelle. Number one, the town provided whatever assistance was requested through the school department for the reconfiguration study. The only specific request that was made for town personnel to attend a meeting was an invitation to the Director of Planning to provide information as far as demographics, comprehensive plan, as well as subdivision that are being planned over the next several years. The town office, my office, as well as the finance department, has had interaction with several members of the reconfiguration committee requesting information specifically dealing with bonds associated with various school buildings, as well as the deeds associated with those buildings on the availability of those properties to be sold were a school to be closed. Any information that has been requested of the town has been provided by the town officials. That's first answer I'll give. The second issue, which was one that I was going to address with the manager's report, and if you want me to do that now or wait, was on the MERS funding report. I have provided the council with a report dated May 12, 2011. It is available for review on the town's website for it's in the May 12, 2011 manager's report, which will be accepted hopefully at tonight's meeting. What I've provided to the council is what's called a steady state analysis. A steady state analysis simply takes what the required contribution rates would be for the 2012-2013 fiscal year and apply those to the salaries associated with municipal and school employees that is resident to the 2011-2012 budget. So we're looking at what would the costs have been had the Raimondo study and the changes made by the State Retirement Board occurred 12 months earlier. In answer to that, I've provided that based on school payroll, both for the certified teachers and for non-certified employees, that we currently budgeted a total of $4,074,000 for pension purpose. That's both for the non-certified members and the certified teacher group. Based on the rates that were quoted as a result of the actuarial revisions made, that would increase to $6,877,000, or $2,803,000 more than what was budgeted. So essentially, the 2013 year for the school department for pension purpose alone would require a $2.8 million increase if personnel were to remain at the same salary levels that had been budgeted for the 11-12 year. On the municipal side, the cost of pension was budgeted at $955,000. That would increase to $2,116,000, or $1,161,000 more. The combined pension requirements, based on salaries that are resonant to the 11-12 year for the 12-13 year, would amount to $3,965,000 more than in the current year budget. It's also important to note that the most recent actuarial values prior to the actuarial assumption revisions, South Kingstown, and this is exclusive of the teachers, had an unfunded liability of $4,300,000. Based on the actuarial revisions that were made, that increased to $19,700,000, or approximately $15,400,000 in increase resulting from the changes in the actuarial assumptions. Principal actuarial assumption changes that occurred was a reduction in investment yield from 8.25% to 7.5%. Second was an increase in the mortality table, whereby employees were assumed to live between 1 and 2 years longer than had been the prior actuarial assumption. And third was to revise the estimate of active employees to retired employees. In other words, the estimate now is that there will be a declining number of employees as we go forward with an increasing number of pensioners. The results of those specific actuarial revisions, as well as several others that were made of a minor nature, resulted in that $15.4 million increase in the unfunded liability. As of June 30 of 2009, our funded ratio was 93.9%. Based on the changes that were made through the State Retirement Board, that then dropped us on June 30 of 2010 to 77.1%. The benchmark that the state hopes to accomplish in terms of funded ratio is 80%. So we're still within 3 percentage points of what that target is, even with the changes that are there. What needs to be considered is it's not just the town pension systems, but it's the state teacher retirement system change. The contribution rate that's projected is to increase from 13.39% in the current year to 21.15%, 7.7% more. On the non-certified employees, whether they're municipal or they're school-related, it would go from 8.59 to 17.83, a 9.3% increase. On our police unit, it would increase from 16.03 to 36%. So you can see that these are staggering numbers that are totally unsustainable in terms of going forward without changes to the manner in which either benefits are provided or contributions are made from either the employee or the employer. As a for instance, with a $3,965,000 increase on the cost of pension if no changes were made. A 4% cap on the tax levy would only produce $2,644,000, or it would be $1.3 million behind. Those are the numbers as they relate to South Kingstown. The report is readily available. Second item that I'd report on is that in the Sunday Journal, there was an article on post-employment, other post-employment benefits, and the funding of that by cities and towns. Now that accounting principles or accounting standards have been established for the reporting of OPEB. The newspaper showed South Kingstown as of 2008 with $0 appropriated for OPEB purposes. The town of South Kingstown, both on the municipal and the school budgets, have been funding OPEB to the annual contribution rate requirements since the 2008-2009 year. Between 2009, 2010, and 2011, the 3 years that or the third year that we're currently in, the schools have put aside $507,800, and the town has put aside $984,000 for a total of $1.491 million. We've also earned within the insurance, within the OPEB trust, about $160,000 through March of 2011. So the trust assets, while reported at zero as of March 31st of 2011, would be $1,651,000. For the 11-12 budget, that which was just adopted by the council in April, an additional $170,000 is budgeted in the school fund, and $270,000 is budgeted in the municipal program, for a total of $440,000 that will be contributed subsequent to July 1st. Our anticipated value as of June 30 of 2012 is about $2.2 million. However, the liability is still listed at about $18.7 million. Overall funding as of June 30 of this year will be about at the 8.8% level, and the forecast for a close of 2012 is about 12%. So I think that we're providing full funding as required by OPEB, and we have always provided full funding as far as pension is concerned. The revisions in the actuarial assumptions certainly have had a profound impact, not just on South Kingstown's retirement plans, but on a statewide basis. We are anticipating that the report that was prepared and released today by the Treasurer's Office will provide somewhat of a blueprint for the beginning of discussions at the General Assembly level. The Rhode Island Retirement Board does not have the statutory authority to make changes in benefit levels or in contribution rates. That can only be done through the General Assembly, through both chambers. That work is still ahead of us. Initial discussions have been to provide the information up front and the potential for a September special session. I'm hopeful that the actions will be taken in advance of September, since if that is dragged on, we will be legally required to budget based on the actuarial documentation and the rates that have been established through the actuarial report. So there's a number of things that need to be done at the state level to be able to address not just the state pension system as it relates to state employees, judiciary, state police, correctional offices, but also to deal with the certified teacher unit. That's in advance of dealing with the municipal retirement systems. The Treasurer's report today deals specifically with the state system and the certified teachers, yet does indicate that many of the suggested revisions would also be resident to discussion associated with municipal plans. Be glad to answer any questions that council or the public may have on the documentation. but I do want it clear that the town has never not made 100% payment on pension, and we have, since the time that the trust fund was set up for OPEB, met all of our requirements for the annual contributions. So the ARC has been met each and every year. That's also provided if somebody wants additional data within the municipal audit. On pages 73 and 74, the audit provides the documentation on the OPEB. Clearly, the information is available. The solutions are yet to be determined.
Great. Thank you, Steve, and that helps clear up a little bit of yesterday's newspaper article, so most appreciative.
Please come to the mic. Welcome.
Hi, good evening. My name is Dorald Beasley. I've also been reading the articles in the journal the last few weeks with some trepidation as to what the future of our state is going to be. I just happened over here, a few of the things that you were talking about, Steve, to the town manager, to the council this evening in the work session, about what the treasurer's, some of the treasurer's recommendations. One of the things that I feel that is not, may not come to fruition is the 7.5%, the new 7.5% actuarial rate for investments. As a matter of fact, in today's paper, it mentioned that someone has said that maybe there's only a 42% chance of that 7.5% becoming a reality. And I wouldn't be surprised that over time that rate has not even dropped further, putting the cities and towns in the state in even a worse bind. I do have one question, which I'm not, in some of the articles that have been in the paper, they've shown that some towns and cities have some of their employees in 401k plans. Those cities and towns that are in 401k plans, do their employees then also, or do they pay into Social Security in those towns?
It differs community to community. Most communities are Social Security-related employment agencies. South Kingstown provides Social Security.
Okay, but in South Kingstown, we don't have any of our employees that are in 401ks. They're all in defined benefit plans?
You're required, once you join the state retirement system, to be a part of the state retirement system. So there are no 401 plans. There are plans for, in addition to the state retirement system, that would be for the town manager. There's deferred compensation, and so too with the finance director, as well as the superintendent.
Okay. The issue of COLAs, I think, for me, the issue of COLAs is the big one, and it's, you know, if somebody's on a fixed income, someone had in the last 2 years, my military pension hasn't gone up a penny, and neither is anybody on Social Security. That's because those adjustments are different, are made different to a set COLA, and I think the state ought to consider linking cost of living adjustments to something that's similar to what the federal government does for those plans. My last comment has to do with this past year, I think there was a new school funding formula that had been passed up at the state, and I'm concerned that going forward, that formula is just going to take money out of the suburban districts, send it up to the to the cities or put it back into the purview of the state legislature to do with what they want. So when we talk about how much South Kingstown is in debt for pensions and health care costs going forward, that's not really, in my mind, that's not the bottom line problem that the taxpayers in the town of South Kingston have, in my mind. I think that somehow monies are going to be coming out of South Kingstown and going to pay for problems in other cities and towns in this state, and I'm very worried about that.
Thank you, Darrell. Further comments from interested citizens?
Just a couple quick things. I just want to clarify on my first question about the town's involvement with the reconfiguration committee. And I have no problem with the planning director. He's A+. It's unbelievable the service he's given to this town. So it's nothing. I'm sure that whatever he was asked to present on, he presented on very diligently. So I'm just trying to clarify that you feel that he did present on the comprehensive plan, or that he was not asked to
I wasn't at
present?
the meeting, so I'm not sure exactly what was presented. Certainly, he issued a report. The report's on file with the reconfiguration committee.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you said that he did present on the comprehensive plan. I was at that meeting, and I don't believe that he did. And so, which lead me to believe that he wasn't asked, which then I have a question as to whether or not, is the town as involved in this process as they should? And that's not, it's a question.
Jonathan,
Yep.
I think Vin would like to speak on the issue.
At the request of the superintendent, I attended the meeting held on April 7th of the Reconfiguration Committee, and I basically talked about 3 areas in the town. Our growth management program and some of the history of that, and growth in the town going back. And part of that talked about development pacing and phasing, and we had our annual action agenda for growth management, which came out of the rapid growth in the middle 80s, and it got the town in that mindset towards trying to stem the spikes in growth that we experienced during that time period. I presented, and so a lot of that growth management is integral to the comp plan, but the comp plan as a general document, isn't really meant to, at least in my estimation, dictate how policy makers, make specific decisions. It's typically a more general document than that. But I talked about development pacing and phasing, how the impact fees came about. Talked about recent trends in development, the build-out model that the town, we have through the GIS program. And I provided some brief summary of pending applications before the planning board, or those we anticipate moving forward, either recent approvals or those that have been placed on hold due to the changes in the economy we've experienced the last few years. And lastly, I talked a bit about demographic data, that and some of the limited releases from the 2010 census that we had seen, and what that might mean. But I was, the way I envisioned my role in assisting the committee was to provide that kind of background information that they could then take to the specific charge that they were working towards. I thought it was a good meeting. I enjoyed participation in it, and I hopefully provided some good background for the Reconfiguration Committee. I know they've since had a number of other meetings. I'm privy to their emails in terms of their, notices of their subsequent discussions. And so, I know they've got a difficult charge given demographic trends and trends in growth in the community. So, it's a difficult circumstance that they're laboring in, and I'm sure they're giving all options due consideration. And I imagine, I think their recommendations are forthcoming next month. Next week, maybe. Yeah. So. Well, so that's basically what I talked to them about, and so I'd be happy to answer any questions the council may have, but, you know.
Any questions here at the table? Thank you. Did that help clarify?
Yeah,
things?
that's helpful. And, you know, the population trends and demographics, I mean, everything he presented was excellent. I'm not, you know, and there's a meeting tomorrow about the comprehensive plan, so I'll attend that. I believe that's here at 7, 6:45 registration, whatever that means. But I'm going to be here at 6:45 just to make sure that I can sign in, because if I don't sign in, maybe I can't speak. But no, you know, very pleased with the presentation. I don't know that it really got into the comprehensive plan, but I'll see what the comprehensive plan is, what's being talked about there, and then I'll have more basis too. And just, you know, the numbers presented by the town manager regarding the pensions and the other benefits, you know, really hits home in my mind. You know, that they made this talk of there's been a lot of different talk about different configurations, and none of them really got us even anywhere near what we're talking about. So, thank you.
Jonathan, I just have a question. With you making that comment that you need to be here for 6:45 to sign in, did you read that somewhere, or?
Yeah, and maybe I was being flip. I didn't mean to be flip about it. But there is a registration on the agenda. It says, it doesn't say what it means, but it says 6:45 registration.
Would somebody address that, please, just so that the public's informed?
All right,
What it means, I mean, if someone comes in and does not want to register, that's fine, but we're trying to keep track of the participation and contact information for people, so if we need to get back to somebody and have a dialogue, we have that information. It's simply that and nothing more, so.
Thank you. Okay, further comments from interested citizens?
Actually, I had it on my paper but I overlooked it. I would be remiss this evening if I didn't thank Mr. O'Neill for being the canary in the coal mine on this pension and health care benefit issue. Almost from the first day he arrived on the council, first day up there in the council chair, he has brought this issue forward to the public, and I really appreciate it.
Jim says thank you.
I did say thank you, yes, quietly.
Being on the town council, we also do many community activities, so I just have a list that I think it would be nice for the community to be aware of. We did have the post-prom, junior post-prom activity. I did volunteer from 12 till 4 in the morning, and let me tell you, the volunteers came out of the woodwork, and the students had a blast. It was just a very successful night. So again, kudos to that committee that put that together. Several of us attended the CARES function on Thursday. It was their annual recognition dinner, or annual recognition award ceremony, and it was at the Land Trust. I don't know if anybody wants to jump in for the people that attended, but it was just wonderful with all the work that CARES done. And I will defer to Carol and Polly for the South County Habitat for Humanity, if you want to say a few words. With me, lack of sleep, being a chaperone at the post-prom activity, I was home sleeping.
I know you were up till 4 in the morning. It was a lovely occasion. It was at North Road. Yeah.
Thanks.
It was up at North Road, and it was the Habitat was breaking ground for 4 new buildings they're putting up there. And it was very exciting. Carol came, and it was very nice.
We had hard hats and shovels.
And I understand they're looking for people to bang nails and...
And I'm going to volunteer for Thursdays to build the houses with the women. Women work on houses on Thursdays, so bang a few nails and see if I can do it.
And was anybody able to attend the South Kingstown Dog Park celebration? I know I had another function at the Center for the Arts which was the same exact time. It was the Domestic Violence Resource Women's Center that was sponsoring a celebration for 10 women in South Kingstown that have made a difference. So I attended that. Was anybody able to get to the dog park celebration? Okay. And then there was the Johnny Cake fundraiser, silent auction, Theater by the Sea, this Thursday, May 19th, which was absolutely well attended. It was a great time for a lot of the community to get together and reach out. Absolutely a fabulous activity. And I had the pleasure yesterday of attending the URI graduation. And Friday night, there was South Kingstown High School Fine Arts Night. Absolutely amazing with the student work, the student musicians, the artists. There was theater going on throughout the whole school. It was just a real tribute to our students at the high school. And again, tomorrow night, just a reminder, there is the school committee meeting. It's at Broad Rock Middle School, and the town council has been invited. It's at 7 o'clock, but talking to Maureen Cotter, driving here tonight, she said there is a business meeting, so it may not start exactly at 7. But we have been invited as the town council for the Unified Chart of Accounts. John Rashat will be presenting. And again, as mentioned by the public, South Kingstown Comprehension Plan update tomorrow, the open community work session. So we have a very busy town and wonderful South Kingstown residents all working together. So I just wanted to bring that up, which brings us to any further comments here at the table? Which brings us to the town manager's report.
I think I was an interested citizen tonight. I do want to mention one more meeting, and that is May 31st meeting. CRMC board will be convening here in town council chambers. That meeting will provide the town with an opportunity to meet with new members of the CRMC council and to provide the council's concerns associated with protection of Petunic Beach. So that will be at 7 o'clock on the 31st. That was the meeting that the council attended in Providence. It was the scheduled date subsequent to that meeting in Providence last month.
Steve, I had that in my calendar for 6, so that's been changed because when we were at CRMC meeting in Providence, I wrote down 6. It's at 7?
At this point, I've got to get the agenda from them. I thought they told me today that they were looking at 7, but I will double check. Dale, have you seen an agenda from them yet? I haven't seen an agenda, but they called and I thought it was at 6. All right, so maybe it is at 6 at this point because it's going back and forth.
Okay. Okay.
As soon as we get that, that'll be posted as soon as we can get the agenda up.
Okay.
But that's it, yeah, unless there's questions.
Any questions here at the table? Jim?
Yeah, Steve, I wanted to thank you for your comments following Jonathan's questions, and Doral, thanks for the comments. The general treasurer has stated all along that this pension issue is it's a math problem. It's a very difficult math problem in front of us. I would like, hopefully everyone here in this council, audience, or those at home, we need to encourage our General Assembly members. As you heard Steve earlier, September may be too late. This issue on not only the taxpayers' contribution, but those from the state workers, teachers, et cetera. This really needs to be addressed a lot sooner. If we get caught too late next fall and winter, we're not going to be able to adjust our 12-13 budget. And Steve's only brought up the 2.8 and then the 4 million, adding the municipal side of this. We haven't addressed other costs in this community. And that will be, it'll be impossible. Steve used the word unsustainable. Mrs. Raimondo said yesterday it's like driving at 100 miles an hour plus with a stone wall dead ahead. And that's where this is going to land unless we all encourage each other here that there's got to be some shared sacrifice. And At the moment, all we've seen is $267 new million recommended from taxpayers, and obviously that's got to be whittled down and shared with those who are receiving these benefits. But you need to encourage everyone in the political spectrum at the General Assembly here that there are no easy choices. There'll be a lot more votes for them if they make some hard decisions, but these are things that we've got to address because this is really running away from us. We won't be able to catch up with this exponential mathematical equation that's running away from us. So, Steve, thank you for your earlier comments.
Any further questions? Which brings us to the town solicitor's report. Okay, any questions for Michael? Okay, there were no appointments, which brings us to new business items 13A. We have a resolution authorizing an award of bid to Adware and Specialty of Texas Incorporated, 8120 West Glen Drive, Houston, Texas, for recreation program T-shirts in accordance with all bid specifications in an amount not to exceed $11,500 and as further described in a memorandum from the Director of Leisure Services to the Town Manager dated May 11, 2011, and entitled Recommendation for Bid Award Recreation T-shirts. Steve?
5 bids received. This is the lowest bid for the items that are requested. Recommendation from Terry, I think speaks for itself.
Move acceptance of new business item A.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries 500. Which brings us to item E, new business item E. This is a resolution authorizing the town clerk to advertise for order of notice a public hearing relative to an application for expansion of a license to keep and sell alcoholic beverages in South Kingston in accordance with the general laws of 1956, as amended as follows. And it's a Class B limited liquor license, application for expansion of a Class B limited liquor license filed by Phil's Kitchen Incorporated, doing business as Phil's Kitchen, 323 Main Street, Wakefield, Rhode Island, by Kenneth J. Tetzner, Vice President. Application requests permission to expand the area in which alcohol beverages may be served to include a second-floor dining room approximately 24 feet by 31 feet in accordance with the special use permit granted by the Zoning Board of Review on April 20th, 2011, and is further defined in an amended site plan dated May 4th, 2011, on file in the town clerk's office. And at this time, I would like to recuse myself and turn the meeting over to Councilwoman Carol Hagan McEntee.
Steve, did you want to comment on this at all?
It's just an order of advertisement.
Okay.
What I would request, Carol, is that you call a vote because Ella is going to recuse herself.
Okay, so do I have a motion?
I move that we approve new business item E.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Excuse me? Roll call? Oh, okay. Can I have a roll call? Aye.
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 I'm recusing.
All in favor? One recused.
Thank you. Which brings us to new business item F. This is a resolution authorizing an award of bid to Baker & Taylor Incorporated, 2550 West Tyvola Road, Charlotte, North Carolina, for the purchase of books for the South Kingstown Public Library from July 1st, 2011 through June 30th, 2012, an amount not to exceed $66,000, and is further described in a memorandum from the Library Director to the Town Manager dated May 16th, 2011, and entitled Bid Recommendation, Books, South Kingstown Public Library. Steve?
The recommendation is to stay with the existing vendor of record, Baker and Taylor. The price difference between them and the second day is the second low bid, and Ingram is approximately $310, assuming that we would buy 3,100 hard-covered books and 1,000 paperbacks. based on the reasons presented in the library director's recommendation, to which I concur, I would ask the council to award to Baker and Taylor at this time.
Thank you. Any questions here at the table?
Seeing none, then LI move approval of new business resolution F.
Second?
Motion and a second. Ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries 500. New business item G. This is a resolution authorizing an extension of award of bid originally granted on June 23, 2008 and extended on April 26, 2010 to Mega Mechanical Service, LLC, formerly Harrington Engineering Incorporated, 293 Oakwood Drive, Glastonbury, Connecticut, for a service contract for HVAC maintenance at the Public Safety Complex for the period July 1st, 2011 through June 30th, 2012, in accordance with the terms and conditions of the bid specifications at the following rates. In its regular PM priority service, licensed HVAC technician is $77 an hour. An emergency service licensed HVAC technician, $115.50 per hour. And the mock-up parts materials over cost, 20%. Portal charge, $77 per service call, and is further described in a memorandum from the police chief to the town manager dated May 17, 2011, and entitled Recommendation for Contract Extension, HVAC Maintenance Control, Public Safety Complex, fiscal year 2011-2012.
The recommendation is to take a one-year extension on the existing contract. We've worked with the same vendor since 2004, when we first opened up the maintenance contract for the HVAC. We're very satisfied with the service level. The complexity of the system is something that we're not comfortable changing the consulting engineer at this time. So we'd ask the council to approve as presented in the agenda.
Do we have a motion?
I move approval of new business item G.
Second.
Motion and a second. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries 500. New business item H, a resolution amending the town beach policy for the 2011 season to incorporate a storage unit rental policy and fee structure as shown on Exhibit 2 attached hereto, and amending the town schedule of fees as further described in a memorandum from the Director of Leisure Services to the town manager dated May 16, 2011, and entitled Town Beach Storage Units.
The Recreation Department has, based on reviews with the Recreation Commission, prepared 3 buildings of 4 units in each building for storage units that would be located at the town beach. The town would then rent those units to interested beachgoers for the season at a rate of $150. There's 12 units that will be available in the first year. If we get more than 12 interested parties in the rental of the units, then we would have a lottery so that all that want to be considered can be considered for the availability of space. The lockers themselves are 2 feet wide by 4 feet deep, and they're 6 feet high, and they'll be available during the summer term. We expect to install those units first week in June, and we'll take applications for consideration for lease between June 6th and June 17th. If there's more than 12 applicants, as I said, on June 17th, there'll be a lottery to select the 12 that would receive the rentals for that first season. I think it's also important to note that there'll be whole harmless agreements signed that will prevent any liability on the town's part for any materials lost, stolen, or destroyed within the units. This is to be provided as an amenity for beachgoers that wish to be able to store their beach materials and not have to transport them on a day-to-day basis. We think that there's an interest in these units. We also think that this is an additional way to generate fees to be able to offset the overall cost of operations of the beach.
Do we have a motion?
I move approval of new business item H.
Any questions, further discussion? Jim?
Yes, Steve, Three easy questions. South Kingstown residents only, or any property owners in South Kingstown? And number two, I didn't look closely at the pictures, but are there going to be some hooks or maybe some shelving in back of these units?
There's hooks and there's a shelf that's inside each of the units.
Okay,
And obviously, they can be configured by the
right.
by the person. The requirements for the beach storage units, as I said, would be between May 28th and September 5th at a fee of $150. It is the same requirements to be able to get a beach pass, which is the name on the application form, is the person responsible for the unit. I believe they have to be a town resident or have the rental agreement that shows that they're here for the summer. Do we have the full requirements just as with the beach pass?
The eligibility requirements are the same as purchasing a beach pass. They have to be property taxpayers who can show that they're on the tax roll or can show a receipt for payment of a current year taxes, or someone who has a 90-day lease or longer with the town.
Okay, thank you. I was just trying to build up demand for this, but now that we are on TV.
We got your
Only 12
message.
units, so hurry up.
And if it's not successful, I do like their Plan B.
Okay, Plan B.
Okay, we have a motion, a second, further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 500. New business, item I, this is a resolution authorizing an extension of an award of contract granted on June 8th, 2009 to Red, the Uniform Tailor, 475 Oberlin Avenue, South Lakewood, New Jersey, for custom police uniforms in accordance with original bidding specifications and the terms and the unit prices as modified in the proposal dated April 26, 2011, for the 2-year period commencing July 1st, 2011 through June 30th, 2013. Said award of contract is subject to cancellation without penalty or fees should the vendor fail to perform to the satisfaction of the town of South Kingstown, and is further described in a memorandum from the police chief to the town manager dated May 17th, 2011, and entitled Recommendation for Extension of Bid Award, Police Uniforms, Reed, should that be Red? Red, excuse me, Red the Uniform Tailor. Phew. Steve?
We're again looking to extend the existing contract with the vendor of record. The changes would be a 2-year extension on the current contract with proposed increases of 3.64% on the long sleeve shirts for the patrol division, 5.0% on the short sleeve uniform shirts, and a 2.4% on the trousers. The town provides the uniforms for the police officers and replaces them on an as-need basis. We've spent as little as $13,000 in a given year to a maximum of $26,000. I'd note that this year's budget has approximately $38,000 that could be used toward clothing. We usually see the higher years in there, higher year expenditures when we've got new employees coming in that would need to be newly outfitted. Based on the special nature of the uniforms that we use, it wouldn't make a lot of sense to change vendors at this point unless we were changing the entire uniform. So I agree with the chief's recommendation, would ask the council to provide the 2-year extension as written in the May 17th memorandum.
We have a motion? And then
Second.
we have motion, a second, and Jim?
I'm sorry, while we're on the police, I forgot to ask this during the earlier comment period. Are we providing police patrol on cycles this summer, either on the bike path, downtown?
We will have the police on the bike path, and we'll have them in any given area of town. We may have foot patrols in some areas, depending on the availability of the workforce. So yes, we hope to continue with the community policing program as much as possible.
All right, great, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 500. New business, item J. This is a resolution authorizing an award of bid to Martone Service Company Incorporated, 22 Sextant Lane, Narragansett, for cedar shingles replacement at the Kingston Free Library in an amount not to exceed $86,331, including a contingency and as further described in a memorandum from the library director to the town manager dated May 18th, 2011, and entitled Bid Recommendation Cedar Shingles Replacement, Kingston Free Library.
Recommendation is to award to the lowest qualified bidder. We'll be going with the 5/8 shingle, but as there was two options that was listed in the bidding documents. The recommended contract price is $75,070. We're asking for a 15% contingency to get it up to $86,331. The reason for that is on the mansard roof itself, all of the cedar shingles need to be removed. We need to get it down to the base sheathing that's there to determine if there's replacements of the sheathing that are necessary, which would be used for the contingency. That roof needs to be tightened up as well as to have the reshingling done. We know that there's going to be some sections that are going to have to be cut out and the subroof repaired and replaced. So that's why you've got the contingency on there. This was a part of the capital budget. We'd expected the overall cost to be $80,000. We're in that ballpark in terms of the bid that was submitted. Recommend award as presented in Shirley Long's May 18th memorandum.
Do we have a motion?
I move approval of new business item J.
Second.
Any comments? I just want to comment that there was in this memo that we received from Shirley that I was not aware that our Kingston Free Library was one of the 5 original Rhode Island state houses. So I didn't know that. That was interesting information. And it's wonderful to see that we also have a local vendor that received this. So I'm thrilled about that. So we have a motion and a second. Ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 5-0-0. New business item K is a resolution authorizing an award of bid to Coin Textile Services, 20 Howard Avenue, New Bedford, Mass., for uniform leasing services for fiscal years 2011-12, 2/12/213, and 2/13/214. 2014 at the unit price bid as further described in a memorandum from the Public Services Director to the Town Manager dated May 13th, 2011, and entitled Bid Recommendation Uniform Leasing Services.
Recommendation again is for to award for the lowest qualified bidder. We have not worked with Coin before. However, in reviewing the list of existing clients, we've received good reports where this bid is actually about $3,900 less than what we were paying for the existing contracts, uniform contract in the current year. So we certainly want to try the service. Hopefully it'll be beneficial to the town.
Do we have a motion?
I move approval of new business item K.
We have motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 5-0-0. New business item L, a resolution authorizing an award of bid to T. Miozzi Incorporated, 75 Airport Road, Coventry, Rhode Island, for the Matunic Schoolhouse Road Phase 2 Road Reconstruction Project in an amount not to exceed $600,000, including a contingency and as further described in a memorandum from the Public Services Director to the Town Manager dated May 17th, 2011, and entitled Bid Recommendation Matunic Schoolhouse Road Phase 2 Road Construction Project.
As the council is aware, part of the capital improvement program is the reconstruction of Matunic Schoolhouse Road. The first phase between Oliver Drive and Green Hill Beach Road is under construction at this time. The next phase will be from Oliver Drive to Matunic Beach Road. That's what's been bid. Low bidder is Miozzi. Recommendation is to award as presented in John's memo. I think it's important to note that the cost that we had forecast on this was approximately $100,000 more than what we're seeing for the bid price. So this will provide us with some flexibility to be able to expand paving in other areas. This job will include the pulverization and reclamation of the existing surface, as well as a few minor drainage improvements. Also, based on subsurface testing, there will be some areas where we'll have to install geotextiles to be able to provide for a proper road base. So once we rebuild that road, it should be in good shape for many years to come based on the complete work that's being done. The third phase, which will take it to the town line, will be scheduled hopefully in the 2012-2013 year. We have tried to put this on an accelerated schedule because we're trying to get this road project completed between the road races that take place during the summer and the fall. We've got one road race that's scheduled, I believe, on August, I think it's August 9th. And so what we're trying to do is to get at least the base cost down in advance of that. If we can't get that done in advance of that road race, the track that they use will have to be revised. So we're working closely with the people that are running the race, as well as hopefully going to be able to have a contractor that's going to be able to move along with this job. Certainly weather will play an important role on whether we can complete the job on a timely basis. But recommendation is to get this underway at this point and to award to the lowest qualified bidder, Miozy Inc.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 500. New business item M. This is a resolution authorizing an award of bid to Midwest Mobile Washers LLC, 15160 Shipper Lane, Morrison, Illinois, for exterior power washing of the Victoria Lane and Metucket Road water storage tanks using the aerial lift means and methods in an amount not to exceed $36,000, including a contingency and as further described in memorandum from the Public Services Director to the Town Manager dated May 16th, 2011, and entitled Bid Recommendation, Water Tank Exterior Cleaning.
As noted in John's memo, the recommendation is to award to the lowest qualified bid, Midwest Mobile Washers. I think it's important to note that there's the reason why we're seeing really a tripling of the cost associated with the Victoria Lane tank is, one, based on its height, and two, based on the topography around that tank. We have, for the last 8 months, been working with various contractors to determine whether we would have to make physical changes to the topography in that area, which would impact the park area itself, or whether we could get the necessary staging with cranes to be able to provide for the work. The other important thing that we're looking to do here is it's not just to clean and rinse the towers, it's also to provide a mildew inhibitive coating once the cleaning has been done. I think it's very evident that once the lead paint encapsulated on the tanks was removed and the new painting surfaces were installed, we've seen a major growth in the mildew and the discoloring of the tank. Hopefully with the mildew inhibitor, we will get several years before the tank washing will be required a second time. So recommendation is to award with Midwest based on the specs as presented with John's May 16th memorandum.
Do we have a motion?
I move approval of new business item M.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, we've done the review of different clients that have used them. We're satisfied that they can perform the work. Also, they're a company that not all of these companies provide for the mildew inhibitors, which we thought was a very important component with those tanks.
Steve, how long do you think it'll take them to do this? Do you have any idea?
One bucket they should get done in a day,
Oh, so it shouldn't interfere with the kids playing ball over there in the park? Good. Wow.
Most of the time spent is going to be in mobilization to get them there and to get the equipment ready.
Great.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 500. And the last item under new business is a resolution authorizing an award of bid to Hatch Company, 5600 Lindbergh Drive, P.O. Box 398, Loveland, Colorado, for 6 dissolved oxygen controllers in an amount not to exceed $17,980, and as further described in a memorandum from the Public Services Director to the Town Manager dated May 18th, 2011, and entitled Bid Recommendation, Regional Wastewater Treatment Facility Dissolved Oxygen Controllers.
In the town's continuing effort to make the wastewater treatment facility the most energy efficient possible, we're recommending that we go from the manual dissolved oxygen controllers to an automated system, which would be controlled through our telemetry system. The cost of the improvement, as presented, is $17,979. It's important to note that the energy saving is anticipated to be in the area of $20,000 a year. We're also going to receive a rebate from National Grid in the amount of $6,200 with the automation of the DO controllers. So I think this is an important next step in terms of becoming more green and energy efficient in the operation of the plant. And as a side note, I'd also advise the council that we've just received another $168,000 grant, which will allow us to be able to install at no cost natural gas line on Westmoreland Street to the treatment plant, which will allow us to replace the boilers that are oil-fed boilers at this time. So that is another grant that we're working on right now, again, in an effort that will provide us with greater cost efficiencies at that plant.
That's great. Do we have motion?
I move approval of new business item N.
We have motion and a second. Any further discussion? All of those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries 500. Motion to adjourn, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. A meeting adjourned at 9:15.